So it turns out that social structures can not only shape the way we think and behave, it can also inform our very outlook on life. At least that's according to our guest today, Matthew O. Jackson. He's a professor of economics at Stanford University and the author of a new book called The Human Network: How Your Social Position Determines Your Power, Beliefs, and Behaviors. In the book, he explains how social structures, our human networks, shape how we think and behave. Here's what he told me when I asked, how can social structures hold back something as powerful as the human mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's one example I talk through in the book, which is I find always amazing. There was a study in 1907 by a guy named Sir Francis Galton. And what he did is he looked at a fair where people put in guesses on the weight of an ox. So there was an ox there, and this was in England. The ox weighed 1,198 pounds. And he looked through 787 guesses, so, a wide range of guesses. And people were all over the map in terms of the guesses. But the average guess was 1,197 pounds. So it was just 1 pound off of the actual, so it's somehow, if you put all the people together, they're really wise. People, all our information, when it's aggregated, can be really, really good. But the question is how you get that information. And, so one thing is we're in our own bubbles in terms of this homophily. We're segregated from other people. So a lot of the information we're getting are from people who think just like us, which biases us. And then another feature is it's really easy for us to do double counting when we're in a network. So, for instance, think about a new movie comes out, and a bunch of my friends tell me that they've heard it's a great movie. So the more people I hear that from, the more likely I am to think it's a great movie. But it could be that they all heard the same review or read the same review. So it could be that it's just one piece of information, but it's echoing through the network. And there's a lot of examples where one piece of news gets rebroadcast and rechanneled to a bunch of different sources. And, as humans, we're influenced by the more, simple counting. The more we hear things, the more we believe it. And that means that, if we're in segregated groups and we're susceptible to this sort of double counting, it can be very difficult for us to get information and to really understand it and assess it. So it's a tricky business.
Isn't that how the whole anti-vaxxer movement started? There was one study that came out and it got widely reported on, and then it just cascaded from there?
Exactly. That's an amazing example, because the first study that was done on 12 children that were hand-selected by somebody who turns out was being paid by somebody suing a vaccine company. It was a fraudulent study. He lost his license to be a doctor. The study was later retracted, but it was reported everywhere. So people were hearing about it in all kinds of news sources, and it keeps echoing now. You can still find sites to that study. And, there have been many, many studies with hundreds of thousands of people since then have never found any relationship. But that one study, still echoes in the network, and very strong beliefs about that.
Well, the word network keeps coming up. So the social networking and the way we're all more connected than ever these days, would you say that that's making all of this worse or better? Or is it good or bad?
Yeah, I think that, the great news is that it's connecting the world in ways we've never been connected before. So, somebody who's poor in rural India can be taking an online course in machine learning. So there's just amazing things that are happening. But at the same time, it also means that we can also search for other people who are exactly our same views, create these echo chambers where people share ideas and end up reflecting the same opinions and beliefs and insulate themselves from the rest of the world. And so there are these two competing forces of, becoming more connected overall, but then also becoming more cliquish and separated at the same time. And we see that play out in terms of polarization and extreme views quite a bit.